Welcome back everyone. For today's video, we're gonna check some beautiful geometry between the games of Hans Niemann and Denis Lazavik. Denis Lazavik, he's 19, he might be the future of chess, and he doesn't play that often, that's why we don't hear his name that often. So e4 is c5, we're gonna get a Sicilian defense. I actually want to show you just one move from this game, and we're gonna see other games with more depth. But here we're gonna get some development, especially from white side. As you might see here, black is neglecting development, but everything is fine. This is preparation. These are grandmasters. They know what they're doing, kind of. So he takes on d3. Now we're gonna get into weird territory after queen h5. We're gonna put a pin here. Then we get queen d5. And then what do you play with white? So here you're thinking, oh, maybe I can give a check here. Yeah, okay, the king moves. And then how do you continue the game with white? Because they're actually up 2 pawns. If you trade queens here, for example, if you trade queens, this only benefits black. And they have a big black center. So now what you actually want to do is this crazy move. Bishop to e5. That looks like, wait, is it not this hanging? No, well, here, for obvious reasons, you cannot take back with the queen. You cannot take back with the knight without losing the king. And you don't want to take with the pawn either, because now the rook is hanging, right? If we take here, takes the rook. And if you try to move the rook, now the queen is hanging. So, and then the game continued, right? So, okay, after this, the game continued. They can also play bishop to g4. And all right, this is the continuation. Let's get on with the next one. Okay, let's get on with the second game. This was so crazy, also beautiful geometry. Okay, we're gonna get Hans Niemann with playing with white again. And we get that Ruy Lopez, the Morphy defense Columbus variation, where we can either get a very positional, slow and quiet position, or very tactical, right? Where pieces are flying left and right. So I'm gonna skip ahead a few moves just to show you here. Okay, here we are kind of worried about e5 if I'm playing black, and I'm also worried about this pin. So h6, kicking out the bishop, bishop to h4, c5, d takes on e5. Okay, now black has to take the pawn, and then white is going to bring the knight into the party, and I'm really scared of this if I'm playing black. Although the computer says, oh, this is a draw, right? Because the computer can find ways to defend this. It's not easy as a human. Now, I'm gonna flip the board. The absolute best move in the position is to take this knight, right? We don't want the knight to come in here or to come in here. So that's why we get rid of the knight. And it also ruins white's pawn structure. Bishop takes on f3. Now, they take with tempo. You don't want to take back. This is completely lost. If you take here, now we get into a lot of trouble because the queen can take the pawn, and later they can coordinate their pieces. They can coordinate this bishop and the queen, bring the rooks into the game, and this will be completely lost for black. So here you don't want to take the pawn. After they give a check with the knight, you want to go here, cool, calm, and collected. Put the knight on the square, on the corner, and the game continues. Notice how the bishop and the knight is hanging, right? This is completely crazy. Best move. I'm gonna flip the board again, just to show you here. Best move in the position queen b1. I'm threatening to checkmate, right? And again, we don't want to take here with black. This will be terrible. So e4, just to show you here, for example, what will happen. G takes on f6. Now I'm threatening to give a check here with the bishop and win the queen. So that will be terrible. Okay, best move is to play e4. I'm still hanging my bishop, but at least I'm cutting out the diagonal for this queen. Now d takes on c5, g5, completely ignoring this for reasons we have seen before. We don't want to have these two diagonals plus this, so that's why we're gonna get rid of this bishop. g5, flipping the board again. Okay, maybe this is too much, let me know, but I want you to see the board from two perspectives because it's rather crazy. Okay, now knight takes on e4, and here we don't really want to save the bishop. We actually just want to get rid of this. Okay, so we take the bishop, they take our bishop back, and something is gonna happen also with this queen, because we don't have a lot of squares available. Now we get f5. This is a mistake. The best move in this position instead of f5 was to offer the trade of queens. This still keeps the advantage for white, but it's not that clear. So after we trade, everything is more playable. Now we're gonna go back to f5. The best move, this was a brilliant move. And here is where we have beautiful geometry. It doesn't look like this move is doing much. Queen c1, it looks like it's hanging our knight. But what is happening is we are forking this square. The commentator said it in the game. Queen c3 is threatening this. I'm threatening to go here and win the knight. So what is this shape? It's a trapezoid. I don't even know. Right, so Queen c1, the best move in the position. Now the king moves. Rook to d1. I have easy and clear plans. I'm gonna bring my rook into the game and coordinate my rook with the queen. Right, this is kind of a right triangle. Queen to c7. Now rook to d6. I have a clear plan here. Queen to g7, check. Okay, we just move the king. There is no risk for us. F takes on f4. Perfect. And now this was a miss. What would you play with white? Queen e3. It looks like it's a good move. We're threatening to win the pawn. But instead, you have to play... What do you have to play? Queen to d2, sorry. So queen to d2. Now we're threatening this. And we're also threatening to play rook d7, winning the queen later, right? So again, some other beautiful geometry here. I don't know which pattern we have, something weird of geometry. So after, where do you put the knight, for example? Knight to d3, you can almost ignore it. And this idea becomes very valuable. Rook g1. Rook g1 now, where do you put this queen with black? There is no way, there is no escape. That's the problem. The queen doesn't have a lot of escapes. Actually, they will have to take, and this is winning for white, right? Okay, what happened in the game? After queen to e3, bishop takes on c5, with the objective of distracting this queen from the attack of the pawn, right? We can completely ignore this, take, and now we have beautiful diagonals. Bishop and queen, king has to move. Now, what do you play with white? Best move in the position. This was played, rook to g6. This is a miss. What we had to play is rook g1. Where do you put this queen? There are not many good squares for the queen, unfortunately. So this is completely winning. But this didn't happen. We go with rook to g6. Okay, we have an equal game again. And now rook b to e8. This is scary, right? This is scary. It's like, where do we put this queen? And then queen to g4. Okay. Now bishop to e6 should have been found. This was the best move in the position. Not moving the queen away. You don't have to shy away from this. What you have to find is some kind of interference. Right now they cannot take because you're protecting this square. Okay, now let's continue. After queen to g4, knight to d3 is played. So it's completely hanging this queen. because this is the next move in mind. Now they protect the rook to f1, and then I'm gonna go after the queen anyway. So yeah, this is crazy. And after a few moves, after a few trades, we're gonna get a rook and bishop endgame. And I have a bishop explaining how to win this and how to defend this. But yeah, this ended up in a draw. But this was one of the most exciting draws I have seen. Last but not least, this is also very educational, where we are going to have this endgame. Rook and bishop versus rook. It looks like white is completely lost in this position, but look at this. First, this king doesn't have any squares to go. In other words, it's stalemated, right? So we're gonna get this stalemate where we're giving up the rook. Yeah, if they take here, this is a draw. So we're offering the rook 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And unfortunately, this happened in the game because black was thinking, oh, okay, if they take back with the king, this is a draw. They don't have to do that. They can just take back with the rook, as it happened in the game. But yeah, here also another subtlety of this. We cannot take this bishop directly because now this can happen with check. Now once we move the king, the rook is hanging, and now white is losing. So don't never resign. Always look for this pattern where, yeah, here the king is stalemated, nowhere to go. Beautiful geometry again, right? But we're offering the rook 4 times. And yeah, this is technically a draw, although that didn't happen in the game. You can just keep the rook here, right? Never move the rook away from this square, so they don't have this check available, and everything is good in the position. Actually, they have this check available, sorry, here. But now how do you checkmate the king? Okay guys, thanks for watching. I hope to do more game reviews. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope I didn't go too fast. And yeah, also let me know if you like the overlay with the Cosmos background. I will see you in the next one, and take care.